shortly. Oh, man. I tell you, we are so lucky, aren't we, to have Trump as our president? I mean, there's just no getting around it. We're very lucky. Very lucky. Oh, yeah. Things are going perfectly. And with the things that Trump is doing, they're just so amazing, right? I mean, the other side, the evildoers on the left, don't even know how to respond to President Trump. They just don't. And he moves so fast. And the things that he's doing, they want to oppose everything Trump's doing, but everything he's doing is universally good. I mean, how can you be against stopping drug trafficking, right? But we have a lot to cover. Now, if you want to see all the audio and video and hear the sound bites I play, you got to go to my main stream, which is linked in the description. If you want to call in, the toll-free number is pinned in the live chat. Okay. Stand by, guys. Oh, just gonna. Here we go. He said Peggy. He said quiet Peggy. Here we go. Welcome to the Brian Craig Show podcast. My name is Brian Craig, and this is where MAGA comes to talk. Welcome, one and all. We've got a lot to cover. President Trump did not take Thanksgiving weekend off. He doesn't take vacations. In fact, can you list a single time in the last 10 years? Well, it's been over 10 years since Trump's been on the scene. When he's taken a vacation, right? When has he taken a vacation? No. He comes to Mar-a-Lago, but that's work. He never takes a vacation. There's not time for vacations. And a lot of things are going on. We're going to jump right into it. Got a big update on the incident in D.C. But first, I want to talk about this. This is one of the most important moves any president of the United States has taken in any of our lifetimes. And what I'm talking about is his war on drugs. You know, there's been all these ridiculous wars, the war in Vietnam, the Korean War, all these wars meant to feed the military-industrial complex. And none of them really had any national security risk or interest to this country, like Ukraine today. But the war on drugs does. I mean, if you look, how many people have been killed or victimized by the drug cartels? And it doesn't just have to be addicts. It can be victims, their families, crime victims who were victimized because some tweaker needed some money for a fix, or they were just whacked out on drugs and did all kinds of things. If you added up all the Americans that have been killed due to the drug cartels over the decades, it's more people than have been, more Americans probably that have been killed in all the wars that this country has ever been in. Probably the greatest killer of Americans in our history, the single killer, foreign killer, have been the cartels, and he's taken it to them. In particular, Venezuela, and he posted this on True Social yesterday, to all airlines, pilots, drug dealers, and human traffickers, please consider the airspace above and surrounding Venezuela to be closed in its entirety. Thank you for your attention to this matter, President Donald J. Trump. And the part where he posted on Truth, the airspace above and surrounding Venezuela to be closed in its entirety, was all caps. So what's going on here? Are we getting ready for a major military operation in Venezuela? Maybe. Are they just closing in on the cartels? Are they getting ready to do some bombing runs of the cocaine factories and everything that's going on? You know, with all the talk of inflation, I've been bringing this up for weeks, maybe months. All the talk of inflation, which President Trump has stopped, right? No one talks about the inflation of the illegal drugs. You know, I did get a call a few weeks back from a guy who was an addict who was telling me that the price has gone through the roof, but that was like weeks ago, maybe 2 months ago. The inflation on illegal drugs has had to go through the roof because the supply is limited. And, you know, the things that President Trump is doing are things that are universally good, right? Like ending the flow of drugs into our country. There's many, I could go through this, but that's the one we're talking about right now. But even though he's doing something that's universally good, taking down the drug cartels, look at the Democrats. They're freaking out. And there's a story today. By the way, if you're new to the program, my name is Brian Craig. This is the Brian Craig Show podcast, available on all podcast platforms. Just go to wherever you get your podcast and search for The Brian Craig Show. The podcast will pop up. If you want to catch the podcast in video form and live, when I'm taking live calls, that's on YouTube and YouTube Music. Just search for The Brian Craig Show on YouTube or YouTube Music, and I'll come right up. Now, there's a story today that has them all freaking out, and it's so obvious what's going on here. Trump says he will pardon the former president of Honduras who's serving a sentence of life in for drug trafficking. Is it life? I think I heard life. Let me see here. A 45-year prison sentence. Well, he's not a young man. If it's not life, it's pretty close to it. So Trump derangement syndrome is something that's kind of intoxicating to the brain, meaning it clouds your judgment. It interferes and inhibits your ability to reason. You know, when Trump derangement syndrome, a lot of it is the hate emotion. And when you're consumed with hate, you don't think clearly. So why would President Trump be pardoning the former president of Honduras, who's sentenced to 45 years in prison for drug trafficking? Why do you think he would do that? Right? And this story comes out the same day that he announces that the airspace over Venezuela is closed. And, you know, the Monroe Doctrine, which they used to teach us a lot about in school, has been forgotten. I don't even know if they teach that anymore. He's well within his authority through the Monroe Doctrine to do this to Venezuela. So why would he pardon the former president of Honduras? I'm not going to troll for calls. I'm just going to tell you, it's obvious. This guy knows the inner workings of the cartels with the Latin American governments. And he's pardoning him to get information, either directly through him or people they direct the administration to. He's an intelligence source in the war on drugs. He knows how their operation works. He knows who top players are. He may even know where they are. He has an operational understanding of how the cartels work so far as their role in controlling these governments of these South American, Latin American countries. And it's obvious what he's doing here. But they're having fits already about it. Like, oh, could he do this? He's saying he's at war on drugs, but he's partying. It's as obvious as the day is long that the former president of Honduras is an intelligence source for the United States. So that seems like a good thing to me, to make a deal and pardon a guy. Doesn't it to you? Absolutely. Now, the Trump administration has not yet announced it in that way, and they may never do that because put the guy at risk. But it's why else would he be pardoning a drug trafficking former president of a Latin American country? Right. It's so obvious. Now, I know a lot of people on the left are upset about this because, one, they hate Trump, and two, they probably do some type of drugs. I don't. No, I don't. You know, I know though, and I've seen, and I've had people in my family and in my orbit over the years that have had substance abuse problems, and it's a terrible thing. You know, now, taking out the drug cartels isn't going to wipe out all illegal drug use, but it's certainly going to slow it down quite a bit, isn't it? There's no better way to get somebody off drugs than to cut the drugs off. And one way you can do that, you cut off the supply, you drive up the price. So the few drugs that are left in the country are so expensive, most people can't afford them. So, I mean, this is a good thing. And it's a very bold move by President Trump. You know, with our past presidents, for the most part, the war on drugs has been a meaningless catchphrase that they were doing nothing about. They had no interest in ending the drug trade. Just like the Republicans before Trump came down the escalator had no intention on ever shutting down the border. So he's doing the things that are, without question, universally good things to do. There's just some things that are the right thing to do, and there's nothing you can do to convince a sane person that shutting down the drug cartels is a bad thing. You know, and I mean, look, he takes out these drug boats. They know they're drug boats. They have detailed intelligence. And the left freak out about it. How could you be against such things? Now, there was a big update. If you'd like to call in, by the way, the toll-free number to call is pinned in the live chat. If you're watching on YouTube, it's 888-465-2631. 888-465-2631, and it's a toll-free call no matter where you are watching or tuned in from. All right, 888-465-2631. Now, there was a big, if you're on hold, stand by, we'll get to the calls in a bit. Now, there was a big update that dropped yesterday about the DC incident with the guardsmen. Okay, now I talked about this on the last podcast. I did some live streaming over the weekend talking about this. But for those that missed those, I'll just tell you, this was, in my opinion, and the opinion of a great many, this shooting of the National Guardsmen in D.C. on Wednesday, the Wednesday before Thanksgiving, was a deep state op, right? It was a companion to that video that the senators and the Congress people dropped a couple weeks ago. It was predicted by Slotnick herself, the senator, the CIA senator, who's first in the video, who said in a couple of weeks, and within 2 weeks, there'll be an incident. Well, she was off by 2 weeks. It took a month. I played that on the last podcast of her talking about that. And this is part of an operation. I call it Bring Back Bush. Many other people are calling it an attempt at starting a rainbow revolution. What they're trying to do in the deep state is cause a revolution in this country, is what they're trying to do against President Trump. And because they're surrounded by this bubble of Trump derangement syndrome suffering lunatics, they can't see clearly what's going on. And they think everybody hates Trump because they hate Trump. They don't understand that the majority of the country support this guy, right? And we love him. Literally, I'm not figuratively. The American people love President Trump. And they don't accept that. They don't understand it. They're not even aware of it. And this new campaign, the Bring Back Bush campaign, began with the assassination of Charlie Kirk. And I went into great detail on Friday's podcast. If you missed that, you can go and get all the details with the audio and video and everything, proving my point. I'm just giving you the capsulized version so you have some context for this update. What their plan is they didn't think this shooter, this CIA Muslim deep state terrorist was going to get taken down so efficiently. They thought there would be a shootout with the National Guard where there would be a friendly fire incident with civilians getting killed. They were trying to recreate a Kent State. If you're not familiar with Kent State, go look it up. And that's what they were trying to do. But the Guard unit that was there are very good, very well trained, and they took the guy down pretty quick. We lost one soldier, another one's fighting for his life. And but they were trying to create an incident where there was a major shootout in a heavily trafficked area of tourists, as well as people leaving work early for the day for Thanksgiving weekend. And they thought there would be a big bloodbath, and that would turn public opinion against President Trump. This is what the deep state do in other countries. But our country are people that are informed and literate, okay, and know what's going on here. But that's what they're trying to do. They're trying to start a revolution, not just sedition inside the military. They're trying to cause an uprising against the president nationwide. So here's the update. So we had a story. This is a big update. This is huge. The day of the shooting on Wednesday, it came out immediately that the Afghan Muslim terrorist was a CIA guy in Afghanistan. So immediately everybody knew what it was. Well, look at this update. He's got a brother, and he's CIA too. Brother of D.C. National Guard shooter was elite CIA platoon leader. The brother of the D.C. shooter, the 29-year-old Afghani charged with the ambush murder of National Guard specialist Sarah Beckstrom, served as a platoon leader in the same elite CIA-backed Zero unit as his brother. So we've got a family of CIA people. I didn't even know that the CIA had platoons in combat, but apparently they do. So the shooter is CIA, his brother is CIA. The deep state put out a video less than 2 weeks or about 2 weeks before the incident, trying to cause an uprising in the military. The lead senator, who's CIA, in that video a month before the shooting, predicted within 2 weeks there would be an incident, and boom, we have this. Is there any doubt in anyone's mind listening to this program that this incident in D.C. was a deep state op? Of course it was. Part of the operation that began with the assassination of Charlie Kirk and many things in between, which I detailed in the last podcast. I'm not going to go through that. Now, if you'd like to call in, the number is toll-free, 888-465-2631, 888-465-2631. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
This is Mike from Louisiana.
Hey, Mike.
You know, this just proves the point that the Democrats are an emotional being. They rule on emotion. Think about it. What happened when Trump says, all I want is a clean CR? What happened? The Schumer shutdown happened, a very emotional reaction to a legitimate...
Well, Trump, you're right, Mike. You know, Trump derangement syndrome is hate, and that's an emotional reaction, no doubt. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hi, Brian. This is Nick out of Baltimore.
Hey, Nick.
I agree with you. But I didn't know this, which you just revealed here.
Mm-hmm.
So
CIA family, pretty crazy, huh?
Well, yeah. It is a deep state op. The whole thing. Unfortunately, it cost the life of National Guard.
Well, it could cause the life of a second one too. I mean, this is we're in some real scary territory, because these Congress people from the video, these deep state plotters, they're not in touch with reality. They don't understand that the majority of the country are behind President Trump, support and love him.
Yeah, and I think that the horrible thing is they don't care. They're fixated on really on destroying this country, and the media is involved in this. And it all goes back to, well, it even goes back beyond Barack Obama, but he's the one who initiated a lot of this stuff.
Oh yeah,
against Trump, I don't know. It is very scary, and it's very sickening. I've been upset about this all weekend, because this should not have happened, and to see these idiots in the media blaming President Trump, if the troops hadn't been there, this would have never happened. No, if these deep state ops hadn't been there, this wouldn't have happened.
See, some of these lefties, and some of them in Congress, they have this talking point that they were going to use if there had been a massacre in D.C., if there had been collateral friendly fire civilian deaths from a shootout, and nobody blames Bush for this. They thought that an incident would happen. There'd be a lot of dead civilians, and public opinion will turn against Trump. Everything they've done, almost, with some exceptions like Butler and the Gulf Wars, everything they've done is to try to turn public opinion against President Trump. And they don't understand that everything they do makes him more popular and stronger.
Right, because it exposes, they expose themselves.
Correct.
That's the thing.
Yeah.
They expose themselves, and it just keeps getting deeper and deeper and deeper, and it's obvious what they've done.
Oh, yeah.
But, a holiday weekend like this, to have this, you're exactly right. I mean, they wanted something big to happen on a holiday weekend.
Yeah, and this story about his brother being in CIA, so both of them are CIA guys. I should not be the first person you guys hear this from. This came out yesterday. And this should have been interrupting all the major news broadcasts and been the lead story, that the shooter's CIA and his brother is a CIA guy. But it's nowhere.
Well, it wasn't on Fox. It wasn't on any of them.
No, it's
and
not.
And it's not going to be on the left-wing media.
Which gives more credibility to the importance of the story.
Yeah.
All right, Nick, I appreciate the call.
You take care. Thanks a lot.
All right, take care. Those of you on hold, hang in there. If you'd like to call in, the number is toll-free, 888-465-2631, 888-465-2631. If you're watching live on YouTube, the toll-free call-in number is pinned in the live chat. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Yeah, Brian, it's Tony out of Kentucky.
Hey, Tony.
I was wondering if you've seen that clip of the guy on the aircraft carrier down by Venezuela telling the guys on there, the hierarchy, not to follow the orders and to go in and go against them.
No, I didn't see that. Who said that?
That was about 3 hours ago. It was on Newsmax. They come up with some of the guys on the aircraft carrier down there. And
well, I hope they're in the brig on it's the Gerald Ford is the aircraft carrier that's down there, right? I hope they're in the brig.
Well, there was a good probably 40 guys sitting there listening to him. I don't know if there's lieutenants, colonels. I don't know who they were, but he's telling them, look, follow your morals. You can't shoot no more boats down. You can't kill no more people.
I'll look that up during the break to verify that. But if that's true, Pete Hegseth isn't going to be putting up with that. All right, now, if you're on hold, hang in there. I want to ask you this. Are you in pain? You don't have to be. Go see Dr. Appleton. The consultation is free. Take advantage of that no-charge consultation and let Dr. Appleton tell you how he can help do with you what he's done with me 7 times, and that's rid you of pain. I said bye-bye to my pain 7 times, sometimes from aging, like my arthritis. One of my pains in my right knee was from a car accident I was in about 30 years ago. Some of it was because I fell on my skateboard and other injuries. No matter what pain I've gone in for, after just 2 treatments, Dr. Appleton has rid me of pain. And you know what? All the pains he's rid me of, none of them have returned. The laser wave pain treatment works on every type of pain I've ever heard of. Arthritis, bronchial neuralgia, bursitis, hip pain, knee pain, lumbar pain, muscular contraction, sciatica, strains and sprains, tinnitus, tennis elbow, neck pain, stenosis. That's a very incomplete list. I have been so many listeners over the years that Dr. Appleton has been with us that are living a pain-free life. I've been a guy at Friendly Tire about a week or so ago. Lower back pain. He was in terrible pain. Pain gone. One of our listeners that goes on our cruises had arthritis in his neck. Holy smokes. Gone. The pain is gone thanks to Dr. Appleton. What he can do and the types of pain he can rid you of suffering from is endless. Give him a call. Again, appointments are not necessary. Walk-ins are welcome. The consultation is always free. If you have x-rays or scans, bring them with you. Dr. Appleton will look them over. We've had listeners fly from all over the United States. Well, not just fly, drive, and even take trains in some instances. But listeners have traveled from all over the United States to see Dr. Appleton. His number, 954-973-0710. 954-973-0710. and online, AppletonCairo.com. We'll be right back. Nope, live, Mike. If you're watching with the green wall behind me, to see and hear all the audio and video and get the green screen effects, you got to go to my main stream, which is linked in the description. All right, welcome back, everyone. My name is Brian. This is the Brian Craig Show podcast, available on all podcast platforms. All right, and where MAGA comes to talk. We've covered quite a bit. I'll take another call or two before I get into some new stuff, but I got a lot to get through. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Oh, Brian, again, it's Tony for Kentucky. I wanted to finish telling you, they were saying that
I'm done. No, it's one call per day. All right, one call per day. The rest of you on hold, stand by. It's one call per day. Not a lot of rules around here, but that's one of them. The rest of you on hold, hang in there. Okay, so this has come back, which I'm very glad. This was on Bartolomo the other day. Okay. So if you notice, see, this fits into what's going on in D.C., all right? You know, this attempt to turn the public against our great President Trump. There's more indictments getting ready to come down, okay? We know this. There's grand juries in Florida. Just because this one judge this Clinton judge, this old lady, seems to have let Comey and Letitia James off the hook. That's not the case. First off, those are going to be appealed. That's not going to hold up. There's other indictments coming for Comey and Letitia James and Brennan and others. So the deep state are they're attempting an offense because they know that the Trump people have been in place long enough now. They've gotten through things. Things are coming out like this Devin Nunes piece about Hillary Clinton and everything she's wrapped up in and was wrapped up in. And these indictments are coming down. So they are in an utter panic. All right, now I got a lot I want to cover. So if you're on hold, you hang in there. We'll get to the calls in a little bit. And if you want to call in, you can. But I got a lot of things I want to cover before I go back to the phones. Now, with President Trump closing down airspace over Venezuela, that is just such an amazing thing, blowing these drug cartel boats out of the water. You know, the United States has done less than zero to stop the cartels. They do some things once things get to the country from time to time, but have they ever really taken the war to them? You know, Noriega in Panama, I'm not sure what that was all about. I know the cover was, you know, drug trafficking and such. But I don't know what you don't know with the Bush family, right? H.W. Bush was president then, and who knows what he was really up to with Noriega. But the war on drugs has not been a real war. And this president is the first president to really shut it down. And of course, people around the world don't like it either. And one of our future MAGA presidents right here, Florida's own Marco Rubio, love this guy. Yeah, I mean, he's going to be a great president. You know, this Secretary of State is one of the best secretaries of state picks a president has ever made, because before this second term started, President Trump determined that the greatest threat to America's national security was Latin America through the border invasion and the drug cartels. So he makes Marco Rubio, who's a Cuban American, who his native language is Spanish, right? Even though he's a Miami guy. And he knows the players. He knows a lot of the leaders of these countries in Latin America because he's Cuban American, a senator from Florida and everything else. He's the perfect secretary. We have never had such a perfect Secretary of State for the problems the country faces than Marco Rubio. And he's really getting the job done, isn't he? You know, with this war on drugs. And I love how he stands up for our country, just like Trump. And I know they'll play some stuff from 2015. That was 10 years ago. He's grown up a lot, and he's doing a great job. And I can't wait. One day we'll get to vote for him for President of the United States, Marco Rubio. And he is incredibly awesome. You know who else is awesome? Stephen Miller's wife, who's also a Floridian. And she's been on CNN a lot lately. They hate her. You know, Stephen Miller, do you know where Stephen Miller and his wife live? They live on a military base for their own safety because their life is in so much danger. And there's a lot of people that are in Trump's senior circle that aren't cabinet officials, that are staffers, that are living on military bases for their own safety because the left are so out of control. And Stephen Miller and his wife are two of the people in the Trump administration who are living on a military installation somewhere. She's very good. She's as good as her husband, Stephen Miller, and she takes down these lefty lunatics on CNN. Oh, now this clip here, they're talking about Tucker's interviewing of Nick Fuentes. She's good. That's that new podcaster that's everywhere that had Joy Reid on the other day. She's a poison person. Oh yeah, it is the same thing. Okay, here's the thing. I disagreed with Tucker interviewing Nick Fuentes. It's not a free speech thing in that instance. He elevated Nick Fuentes, and I didn't really support him doing that. And now he's identified by the left as part of our movement. And but the thing is this: Supreme Court Justice Scalia. Oh man, don't you guys miss Scalia? He was awesome. He was so smart, very quick-witted. And Justice Scalia said once, he said, you don't need the First Amendment to protect popular speech, right? Oh, well, puppies are cute. You need the First Amendment to protect unpopular speech. That's right. And that's what Stephen Miller's wife is pointing out. So they're attacking Tucker in the same breath that they have people saying the same thing as Fuentes says about others. And that's okay because he's saying it about people they don't like. All right, let's take another couple calls. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from? You're on the air. Once, twice. All right, you missed your chance. And, it's unfortunate that Tucker did it. But what they're talking about on the CNN panel is that Nick Fuentes shouldn't be allowed to speak. That's a whole nother story. Everyone in America should be allowed to speak, all right? We have the First Amendment. What you don't want to allow is people to decide who has the First Amendment right to speak and who doesn't. And that's what CNN wants to do. All right. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hey, can you hear me?
I can. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Tissues from Maggot, calling from Georgia.
Georgia. All right. What's up, Georgia?
I'm honestly curious, what could Trump possibly do to make you guys stop supporting this man?
Why would we want to do that?
I'm lost why you a supporter of pedo.
Well, he's not.
All this evidence
he's not. What evidence?
How's he not?
What evidence? Yeah, get off the phone, stupid. Come on. Not going to talk about stupid things like that. President Trump just signed into law. It's now federal law to release all those Epstein files. They need to update their trolls with new talking points. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Right, it's Jack. Happy Thanksgiving. How are you?
All right, Jack. What's on your mind?
All right, I'm going to be very quick. You're talking about freedom of speech, am I correct?
Yeah, I guess.
All right, well, I'll be very quick then. So one of the things I was watching from your live program was how some CNN programs have been talking about freedom of speech and how that, if America doesn't fight or protect it, it's going to cause some issues for America in the free world. The question that America needs to ask itself is, does it want to allow it to end up in a similar situation in Australia? Sure, we do have some form of rights here in Australia, but not the same form of rights here in America.
Yep.
And what America needs to consider is, does it want to end up into a similar state of mind that Australia is in currently?
Of course not. We want to be American.
Exactly right. I can't say these things here in Australia. I can't call up a radio show program and talk about freedom of speech.
Yeah.
I actually used to be a part of a radio station here in Australia. I helped grow a community radio station. I helped it grow from 0 to nearly 100,000 people online. And unfortunately, due to my past life and criminal record, they said, no, we do not want you to be a part of our radio
You have a criminal record? What did you do? What's your record? What was your crime?
No comment on the crime due to the publicity of it here in Australia.
Really? You're a high profile. Oh, okay, that's interesting. All right.
I'm very high profile, unfortunately. I never used to be high profile. I don't come from money. I don't come from. So you're well known. You're well known in Australia. I was targeted by the system. Yes.
Oh wow. Okay.
I actually had just recently I had a politician of mine that was arrested. He lives similarly not too far off from me. He used to live. He was arrested 2 months before.
Well, listen, I've got a really bad connection with you from Australia. You're kind of far away, so I'm going to move on. But I call me again sometime. Not today. Call me again on another show. We just have a bad connection, but take care. We have a lot of people who listen to this program in Australia, in the UK, in the English-speaking world. Canada, and people think because in Australia, the UK, Canada, they speak English, that they have rights and freedoms like we do. They don't, right? They don't have the right to own and bear arms. They don't have freedom of speech, and these things are heavily enforced. Oh, by the way, America's economy is back. Look at this. Black Friday online sales hit a record $11.8 billion with a B in sales. $11.8 billion on Black Friday. We haven't got to Cyber Monday yet. The economy's back with Trump. Yeah, that's right. No matter what Trump does, though, they're always going to tell us that it's bad and it's wrong and all of that. I want to talk about Jupiter Joe Thomas. Annuities are amazing. I talk a lot about how annuities, your money's never at risk and you're guaranteed income for the rest of your life, each and every month if you want it. And it's a great supplement. Joe Thomas, the way he describes it is you're giving yourself a pension. That's exactly right. And, there's so many different types of annuities out there. There's annuities where you get a bonus, 10% or even more on your money on day one. On day one, before you leave Joe Thomas's office, you've made 10% or even more on your money. Isn't that something? And you start earning income off of that addition to your money as well immediately. Isn't that something? There's another type of annuity. This one here is really amazing to me. When life gets really expensive for people in retirement is when there's health issues. And the older you get, the more health issues you have. There's one type of annuity that has an income doubler if you or your spouse, because the husband and wife, the spouses are both on these annuities, right? Except in some strange situations. But if you or your spouse have a health issue, your income that you get every month is doubled. So if you get $2,000 a month, it's doubled to $4,000. There's so many different types of annuities. That's why you want to take advantage of the no-charge consultation with Joe Thomas. Jupiter Joe, I often refer to him as Jupiter Joe Thomas for a couple of reasons. One, because his website, jupiterjoe.com, it makes it easier to remember. But Jupiter, Florida is a very elite place, all right? It's where some of the most financially successful people in the state of Florida live. People think Miami Beach, Palm Beach. Jupiter is where Don Jr. and Eric Trump live. It is where the elite live. And there are so many uber wealthy people in Jupiter. And to live in Jupiter, you have to be a high net worth person. And Joe Thomas, when you're getting financial advice from someone, you want to get financial advice from someone who is financially successful, that lives and has their office based in a place like Jupiter, Florida. So when you get this free consultation with Joe Thomas, you're getting it to a top guy in the industry. He has over 30 decades of experience, 30 years of experience. That's 3 decades. I said 30 decades. He's not an immortal. He has over 3 decades, over 30 years of experience as a financial advisor. He offers no charge consultations, which you can take advantage of no matter where you are. Now, if you're local, you can go to his office. But if you're not local, you can do it over the phone or through Zoom. Give him a call and schedule your no charge consultation. 561-743-0999. 561-743-0999. That's 561-743-0999. That's for Jupiter Joe Thomas. And online, jupiterjoe.com. Set up that no charge consultation. We'll be right back. All right, welcome back, everyone. My name is Brian Craig. This is the Brian Craig Show podcast, available on all podcast platforms. So, Stephen Miller's wife, they hate her over on CNN, and she's becoming a regular. And you can see the look on the face of the CNN anchors and anchorettes and all that just are livid that they've got to speak with these people. And I love Stephen Miller's wife. She's so good. She's a South Florida girl. She's from this neck of the woods. And she's making Florida proud, just like Marco Rubio is. You know, the MAGA leadership is pretty much all based out of Florida, right? The president lives here. Stephen Miller's wife's from here and all this stuff. But anyway, on the CNN panel with Stephen Miller's wife, she gave us a lowdown on what's going on with Marjorie Taylor Greene. And, you know, husbands talk to their wives. So when Stephen Miller's wife tells us something, we know it's the gospel, right? It's what's really going on behind the scenes because she's there and her husband is Stephen Miller, right? Listen to this. Here we go. Wow. Wow. We got some insight there. What did she say that she had main character syndrome? I've never heard of that before. I guess it's kind of it's another take on being a narcissist, but that is that's a good one. I mean, Marjorie Taylor Greene's not looking good. You know, listen, she made her millions, and she's not going to want for anything. But you know, she's no longer going to be at the seat of power, and she never will again. Now, she may get used by the left in the election year next year, and maybe the presidential season. But they'll be done with her, you know, like they don't have Michael Avenatti around or Stormy Daniels around anymore. You know, they use these people for a while, but she's going to miss it. You know, the only question about Marjorie Taylor Greene is what's going to happen to her boyfriend, Brian Glenn. They both left their spouses for each other. He got elevated in the media with incredible access to the president because of her. And now, because she's out and has betrayed the entire movement and the president, what's Brian Glenn going to be up to? He's been on vacation with her lately, so we'll see what happens after the weekend if he's back. And if he's there at the White House, if President Trump's going to let him take the lead in these press conferences. Brian Glenn has taken the lead in many a press conference with heads of state like Zelensky and others. And President Trump has allowed him that. We'll see if he still allows Brian Glenn to do that. Will their relationship survive? All right, here's another clip. This is Stephen Miller's wife on with CNN. Okay, now this is great. This is amazing. So what's going to happen here is hilarious. Listen closely to this. So they have this poll that 51% of people in this CNN poll that they're promoting think that the deportations have gone too far, right? Watch what Janice does with this. Janice hits a home run with this one. And on CNN, they don't even know what happened. By the way, if you're watching on the live stream with the green wall behind me, to see and hear all the audio and everything, you got to go to my main live stream, which is linked in the description of that video. See, I mean, Jennings is really quick here, and the way they present it is like, oh, look, and they have these tiny numbers. 51% say deportations have gone too far. 12 say not far enough. 35 say been about right. And they're trying to act like there's this overwhelming support against them when it's really split evenly, which is how the country is always split, about evenly. Oh, no kidding. Oh, man. I mean, she doesn't, this Abby Phillips on CNN, I don't even think she expected this to happen because her, the team, her producers, everything set this up, and they got that Trump derangement syndrome. So they don't think all that clearly. Now, Kash Patel did an interview. I think this was with Epoch Times. And he's dropped a few things here. Let me play this first clip. And he went on to say that there's going to be some big drops after Thanksgiving weekend. There was a second clip that I wanted to play. I hope he's not blowing smoke this time. This was Epoch Times, which is very, very good, by the way. You guys like Epoch Times? I like them a lot. They're very good. They cover things that don't get covered in a way that they never get covered in. They're very, very good. Okay, now this next clip is Kash Patel. It's the same interview, and he's talking about the threats on his girlfriend, which are really a shameful thing, what's going on with his girlfriend. Yep. Yeah, I mean, what's going on with his girlfriend is, it's just wrong. I mean, there's just no getting around it. And I've never heard, this is how far the left have gone. I've never heard, following news and politics pretty much my entire life. When I was a little kid, I was always interested in news and politics. I've never heard of threats against boyfriends, girlfriends, or spouses of public officials, ever. And it's becoming a regular thing because the left you hear the trolls I talk to, they're unhinged. And they feel totally justified in everything that they do and say, and feel that these actions are, look what happened when Charlie Kirk was assassinated by this never-Trumper. They blame Charlie Kirk for it. This deep state Islamic terrorist in D.C., they're blaming Trump for what he did to the guardsmen, right? They believe that MAGA people, whoever, whether it's Kash, whether it's the president, whether it's Charlie, they're responsible for these actions, not the leftists that are doing it. Isn't that nuts? Now, this was crazy. This New York City Islamic anesthetician. Did any of you guys hear about this? She put this weird video up on TikTok, and I share this just because Mamdani is coming into office. And by the way, anytime someone MAGA runs a red light or does a rolling stop at a stop sign, the media go to President Trump to have him denounce whatever that crime is. We had a Muslim man shoot 2 National Guardsmen, murdering one. Why do the media not demand that Zohan respond every time this happens? Right? If there's a Muslim crime, should he not have to respond? Since he's Muslim and they're Muslim, just like anytime someone MAGA does something, Trump has to respond. Anyway, this is a Muslim woman who's an anesthetician in New York City. And since Zohan's coming as the Muslim mayor of New York, which is crazy, she put this story up online on social media about an experience she had with some Jewish customers. Listen. Oh, okay, it wasn't a customer. This was, they were paying for a parking garage. Okay? They were paying for a parking garage. So, and she ran into them at the machine to pay for your parking at the garage. Okay, now what she means is Jews, as you'll find as she tells the story. So she's saying they're clearly Jews, is what she's saying. I'll do it if you say free Palestine. Wow. That's Mamdani's New York right there, man. That's what's coming. All right, our number is toll free 888-465-2631. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hey there. My name is Charlie, and I just want to say Charlie Kursky, fuck dude.
Okay, there you go. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Dave in Ohio.
Yeah, Dave.
Do you think you're a morally correct and polite person?
Do I think I'm morally correct and a polite person? I don't know what morally correct means, but yeah, I am polite and a moral person, if that's what you're trying to articulate.
Okay.
Why do you
All right,
ask?
thanks a lot.
Yeah, oh, he hung up. Okay, all right. Well, you know. Does that mean that I'm supposed to take abuse from people that are liberal who call me? Is that what he's trying to say? You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hi, my name is John, and I'm also
Okay. Oh, boy. All right, now, if you're on hold, stand by. My name is Brian Craig. This is the Brian Craig Show podcast. We're going to take a quick break and be right back. All right, we're back. I'm Brian Craig. It's the Brian Craig Show podcast. If you are watching on the live stream with the green wall behind me, you have to go to my main live stream to see and hear all the audio and video I play, and that's linked in the description. And the Brian Craig Show is available on all podcast platforms. Just go wherever you get your podcast and search for the Brian Craig Show. The program will come up. If you want to catch the show live in video form, where I take calls, you can go to YouTube or YouTube Music and search for the Brian Craig Show, and I'll pop up there. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hi, Brian. Good morning. My name is Brian as well, and I'm calling from Clearwater, Florida.
Okay.
And but just wanted to say thank you for your show, man. Thank you for standing in the
You're in
gap
Clearwater.
and
Are you a Scientologist by chance? Calling from Clearwater?
I am. No, not at all. No, I'm a Christian.
Why would I ask that? Why would I ask you that question?
Well, that is the headquarters.
Yes, that's right.
In Clearwater.
That's right. Okay. All right.
Yep. I drive by it many times to go to the beach, but I really love your show, man, and thank you for all that you do, brother.
All right. Take care. Yeah. You know, that's why Clearwater, Florida is where the Scientologist headquarters is. And if you go to Clearwater, you can see all the Scientologists in their naval uniforms and stuff, like cadet uniforms walking around. It's a very strange thing. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
This is D. I'm calling from New York.
All right, David, New York. What's on your mind?
I'm curious because, I feel like Trump has kind of just destroyed the country, and I'm curious why you still support him.
Well, if you could give me an example of him destroying the country, I could respond. Can you share? You say you believe he's destroyed the country. Give me an example of something he's done in this second term that is destroying the country or has destroyed the country. Then I can comment.
I'm looking at the financial markets, for one.
The finances are booming in many states across the country over the weekend. Gas prices are under $2 a gallon.
And do you consider that a metric for success?
Yeah, if you're buying gas, yes. Gas powers everything.
Well, what about what about homelessness throughout the country?
It's not President Trump's fault to house people, and if you're homeless.
No, but it's a financial indicator.
No, it's not.
If you look at gas prices.
Nope, it's not. If you're homeless, it's not. If you're homeless, with some rare exceptions, you've chosen to be homeless.
So you think that we've gone up in homelessness in the past year?
We haven't gone up in homelessness. We have not gone up in homelessness.
We have gone up in homelessness.
Nope.
Then what about all the default car loans?
In fact, there's more jobs available now than there have been in decades in this country, because every time President Trump deports someone, that's a job creation. I just saw the other day they arrested they arrested and deported about 300 illegals that were driving semi-trucks. That's 300 job openings for good-paying semi-truck driving jobs.
What about?
So you want to go on to something?
No, we're on the same thing. So what about all the mass layoffs from major retailers across the country?
I don't know what you're talking about.
I'm not. Can I finish my thought?
What layoffs?
You also have. Amazon is laying off like 60,000 people. UPS has laid off a bunch of people.
Well, tell me how that's Trump's fault.
Well, it's directly tied to tariffs.
No. Tell me how that's Trump's fault.
And AI.
Oh, it's AI's fault.
Well,
Oh, okay, it's AI.
Well, how is he addressing it? You're talking about.
It has nothing to do with tariffs. It has nothing to do with tariffs.
All right. So what about Arkansas? Arkansas farmers.
Listen. Every time you bring up something and I shoot it down, okay, but what about this? What about that? Why don't you get off your ass and go get a job? Are you homeless?
I'm not. But
why are you not? Why are you not homeless? You're very close to being homeless. Are you in New York State or New York City? Are you in New York City or New York State?
New York City.
Well, why are you borderline homeless?
Well, I work 3 jobs. My wife works a really good job right now.
Yeah.
And inflation has increased.
No, inflation, in fact, President Trump has stopped the increase in inflation.
That's not
See,
true.
you're living
I don't really know where you're getting these facts. Like, you're making up facts.
No, I'm not. You're living in New York City, which is not only one of the most expensive cities in America to live in, it has some of the highest taxes in America, okay? So what you've got to do is... What you've got to do, excuse me, what you've got to do is move to a place that's, if you can't afford to live in New York City, you move somewhere where you can. My wife and I, last night, we were watching a live streamer on YouTube. He was walking through one of the neighborhoods showing all the Christmas decorations. And my wife said, oh man, I wish we could move to New York. And I said, yeah, but you know, we couldn't afford to live in New York like we do in Florida because it's cheaper in Florida. We don't have a state income tax. We don't have a city income tax. And the cost of living's too high. And the housing's too high in New York.
The cost of living in New York
So we live in Florida where we can live a very comfortable life without all those expenses that you have. So if you can't hack it in New York and can't make it there, move to somewhere where you can afford to live.
I've lived in New York for 20 years.
So what?
You're trying to tell me, you're trying to tell me that, like, all of a sudden now that the cost of living and the ability for me to raise my children,
President Trump has done a few things. One, President Trump has stopped the out of control inflation. Two, some prices have come down. Yes, he has. Yes, he has. Yes, he has. Second, he just passed the big beautiful bill. So starting in January, he gave us the largest tax cut in American history that you and your family will benefit from.
Where? I mean,
the big beautiful bill.
Not showing. Well, I'm saying that whatever you're saying, the big beautiful bill.
It's not tax time yet. Tax time starts in January. We start doing our taxes in January.
Yes, but the cost of living is...
if President Trump is not... You can't call me from the most expensive city in America and whine about move somewhere you can afford to live if you can't afford it there.
You mean the place that I've lived for the past 20 years?
Yeah. If you and your wife have expanded beyond your income in New York City, you move somewhere where you can afford to live.
We haven't expanded. That's my point.
You said you have kids.
Expanded nationwide. Yeah.
Well, then move somewhere where you can afford to live. You live in one of the most expensive cities in the world with some of the highest taxes in America.
So then why are Arkansas farmers?
You're the man of the house, right? You're the man of the house, not Trump. It's up to you. No, excuse me. Enough of whys. I've answered enough of your whys. You are the man of your house. It's up to not President Trump. President Trump isn't the man of your house.
The fact that you can't speak.
I'm answering all your questions, but I answer one, you move on to another. Man up and take care of your family. Take care. Appreciate the call. My goodness. And by the way, I want to point out, here I am. It's Sunday morning, and I'm doing a podcast, right? I point this out a lot to people. I do a lot more than I'm required because this is what I do for a living. I don't sit around and whine and blame other people for my financial situation. I work more, or I find ways to make more money. I don't sit around and whine and blame other people. Man up. All right. Rosie O'Donnell just revealed something that was completely insane. But first, I want to talk about Tom Laporta at Laporta Roofing. Tom Laporta at Laporta Roofing, he's a good MAGA guy, and he'll never sell you a roof you do not need. And what that means is that if you just need a simple repair, he will do it. And I've talked to many listeners who thought they needed a whole new roof. In fact, they'd gotten estimates from other roofers who came out who told them they needed a whole new roof. Tom Laporta came out and said, no, you just need a repair. We had one guy, that was a listener, he had a leak, he thought, in his roof. Tom came out and said, no, that's just your AC line dripping some water in. You don't have a leak in your roof. We had one listener who was with a big condo. He was on a condo board for a huge condo. He had a few roofers come out. They all told him that the condo needed a whole new roof. Tom Laporta came out and said, no, you just need a repair. Honesty in roofing is unheard of next to Tom Laporta. He's a good MAGA guy. give him a call. You can find him online at laportaroofing.com. And this number I'm going to give you rings directly to his cell phone, so you can call or text. His number is 954-604-4602. 954-604-4602. And online, laportaroofing.com. All right, so Rosie O'Donnell revealed some crazy stuff here. This Trump derangement syndrome has gotten really out of control with her. Listen. Star of the Flintstones. Yeah, pretty wonderful. You know, this Rosie O'Donnell here, star of the Flintstones. How long ago was that, Rosie? She goes into some strange things, though. Let's see here. If you're on hold, hang in there. They don't know who she is. She's not famous there. That's why. Good. Okay, now I wanted to cue it up to this one particular spot. Hold on, if I can find it. Hold on. It's coming up. Let me see. I don't want to play the whole thing. Let me see if I can find it. Let me fast forward. Okay. Who does not have equal rights who's a citizen of this country in the United States? Who is she talking about? Where's the one part? I thought I had it queued up and I lost it. Yeah. I was looking for this one particular part of this. I had it queued up, and I hit the button and lost the queued up point. Let me see if I can find it. If I can't find it quick, I'll move on. Hold on. She's hard to look at, isn't she, Rosie? Who's Kuma? Oh, it's their dog. She talks about her daughter and Trump derangement syndrome, and I had it queued up. I can't find it now. Well, I'll have to find it. Maybe I'll play it on the next podcast. I had it all queued up. Oh, my goodness. Where did I... Oh, here it is. Okay. I was playing the wrong clip. Okay. This is it. Okay. I played the wrong clip of Rosie. This is Rosie with Jim Acosta. Here's the one I was looking for. She's talking about Trump derangement syndrome. Apparently, it's contagious, and Rosie's Trump derangement syndrome has spread to her child. Trump derangement, TDS. Oh my goodness. I mean, Rosie, what she's done to her poor child. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
This is D from New York.
Didn't you just call me?
I did.
It's one call per show. This would be your second call.
So you're going to...
No, I'm not going to talk to you anymore. You can call me again on the next show. All right? Take care. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
My name's Beverly, and I'm calling from Wisconsin.
Hey, Beverly.
And President Trump has been doing a great job for us as far as cost of living. I just don't think people understand that greed is the problem with the companies, because gas is low, transportation's good, but moving isn't always easy for people either, because it's tough all over. What you got to do is just buy what you need and quit paying for all this extra crap.
I mean, how many apps, how many streaming apps do people have? Do they get, like my wife said to me the other day, she said, hey, Brian, do you want the new iPhone for Christmas? I said, no. She said, your iPhone's old. I said, I don't need the new iPhone. The old one's working. No, that's okay. You know what I mean?
Well, we think the same. We think the same. I'm the same way. And there's things I like at the store I'll pass on because I won't pay that increased price.
Yeah.
Because as long as we do, they'll never go down.
Exactly. Now I could. Now my wife and I, we could go out and buy the new iPhone for me, but it's why, right?
Right. Why?
Why?
Hey, I'm a very old person, and I'll tell you what, I don't buy too much new anything unless the old runs out. I don't need it.
Yeah, exactly. All right, appreciate the call. I've got Apple Care on my phone, and I don't know what number this is, but I've got like 3 Apple phones ago, and I'm happy with it. I don't need it. But the thing about the liberal, when I get liberal callers like that guy, it's such a joke that there's some scenario where they'll approve of Trump, right? Right? It's they'd like to like Trump, but all these things, nothing he can do will get their support. They'll always criticize him. Now, if you'd like to support my content, become a Patreon supporter. If you become there's a link to my Patreon page in the description of this episode on whatever platform you're tuned in on. If you become a Patreon supporter, you get access to commercial-free editions of all of my podcast, okay? You get access to a lot of exclusive material and things that my wife and I post that we post nowhere else. Also, you get access to Patreon supporter-only live streams. I do live streams on the Patreon platform only for Patreon supporters. And if you're a top Patreon supporter, you get a live on-air thank you shout-out on every episode. So the names you'll hear now are my top Patreon supporters. SFjr, Christine, ETW, Chuck, Pamela, Nick, Wesley, Doris, Heather, David, Maria in Texas, Alice, LeeZep, Shawna, George, Brandon, John, Frank, Dale, Tina, David, Laura, Rob, Wes, Sue, Janice, Teresa, Irene, and Doris. These are my top Patreon supporters. And if you would like to become a Patreon supporter, there's a link in the description of this and every episode. Or you can go to patreon.com/Real Brian Craig Show. Patreon.com/Real Brian Craig Show. All right, guys? I covered quite a bit today, and, so much is happening. And it's all good. Things are going very well in this country, courtesy of our great president, Donald Trump. Everything is going better than imagined in the second term. If you're new, make sure you follow and subscribe on whatever platform you're listening on, and take the link to the show and share on your socials if you don't mind. My name is Brian Craig. This is where MAGA comes to talk. I'll talk to you next time. Take care.